Well, hello there, guys, and welcome to the Weekly Dagger. I welcome you to this glorious Thursday and a wonderful cast it will become. Coming off of like a 15-hour work day, this has been Hell Week for me, but you know what? Sometimes Hell Week brings you into a pretty good following week because you put in all that sweat equity and then you get some nice return. So that's what I'm hoping for today. And already I'm seeing activity in the chat. Hello, Conador. It's nice to see you. Long time no see in the Team Liquid forums. And I welcome anybody else who's coming in. This is going to be a pretty short cast in comparison to the other ones where I ramble on for an extra hour or two because I generally have that luxury. But tomorrow morning, I'm going to have to wake up really early to get on the phone with Taiwan, to get on the phone with Kim Chol-min, get on the phone with Lamada, and we are going to be working out a deal. Guys, we're working on it real hard. Bring back the KCM Legend matches, and I don't want to go into any more of the business aspect than that, but we're definitely really this close. I think October is going to be the month where Legend matches are finally going to be returning. That means we're going to have Flash, Zero, Bisu, Last, Mind, but then a lot of the older players are going to be mixed in too. I think maybe even July might be willing to return to just make some appearances for the Legend matches. So I think that's a pretty cool opportunity if we can get some of the older players too. Get Nada involved. Nada's definitely a player that we want to see play some more StarCraft against some of the top dogs. I know that, who is it? Nalra, a Protoss player, legendary Protoss player before all the dragons came about. He was the kind of the guy who was holding the helm, him and Much and Anytime back in the day. And so he was actually streaming StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, just kind of playing both those games, having a lot of fun recently. So it's kind of cool to see that he's in the mix. We're going to get into these games in just a second here. But again, I am here every Thursday. And so this is the format. I get a bunch of replays or I find some VODs of recent that I like to go over. Well, today I have been given 2 personal replays from Zero himself. And Zero is providing these replays of one versus Mind and the other one versus Flash. So I think that's going to be a really cool opportunity to see behind the scenes how these players are playing against each other. Not just from that first person view that we can see on Fish or on the Africa streams themselves. But this is the opportunity to see some both sides of the coins, how players are playing when they're not in the ASL. So you'll have to excuse me for 1 second as I get off screen, and then we're going to jump right into game number 1. Yeah, welcome to the Weekly Dagger. Okay, it is incredibly hard to cast with gum in your mouth, and I think it's unprofessional anyway, so I like to take gum out, and I didn't have a proper place to throw it out, but I figured that out. Of course, drinking water and blowing bubbles, that is completely professional, so I haven't done that in like 10 years, and in front of an audience, it's even cooler to blow some bubbles. Okay, by the way, I'm thinking of casting some StarCraft 2 games. Gasp! Yeah, the Team Liquid sponsored tournament with Kespa is coming up. For any of you guys who follow that scene, I'm gonna apply and see what Kespa does because I think it's hilarious. If I get to cast some of those games, I know a little bit. I've watched a few of those games, but it'll be fun. But trust me, I keep it vanilla. I keep it strictly Brood War on my Thursday cast. You're not gonna have to worry about seeing something unexpected here. All right, so this is going to be a Zero versus Mind. It is going to be a legit, yeah, they're playing their races. And as I go in, I don't want you to have a bit of fear. It is not going to be a 4-player free-for-all. I'm just going to go ahead and show you out here at the top left. I actually did confirm this beforehand because, you know, I can freak out a little bit over things too. But yeah, if you don't know about the unpure observer maps, you actually have to have these buildings built here, and then they just kind of kill off the workers and run themselves off into the corner. So we're going to see that for the other command center here down at the bottom left. My stream is not in the sidebar. Oh, probably why people aren't trickling in. You know, if you add your stream too early to an event, sometimes it kicks you off. And I was right punctual today on adding myself to the event, and so that was the fears that I would get kicked. So please, if I'm not on there in the next minute or so, then there's definitely something horrible going on. People trying to hack and prevent Brood War greatness from occurring here. Let me get back this Twitch chat so I can see you guys update me here. So down at the bottom right, we're going to have Mind, the Terran player here. We're at fast speed. No, let's get the fastest now that we can actually get back into this cast. And we're going to have Zero at the top right. And both these players, it says Flash here. But I have confirmation that it's actually Project who is playing, and Project is the player who is representing Mind. So Flash is idle as an observer on this map, but he still has 137 APM, which is just hilarious. Oh, let's get the overlay up here too. Okay. Good thing I was on fast. Guys, I told you, a 15-hour workday. A 15-hour workday was not fun. It has been absolutely insane. And, all right. Anybody who's watching from VODs, go ahead and I hope you skipped forward to when the actual game started here. We have the Overlord that already did the initial scout coming down to the bottom right here, looking inside the base. The supply depot on the bottom right, you always build your first supply depot here. It pops those SUVs out in this nice little nook. That's great to have. Again, as I was pointing out, the top left and the bottom left are going to be useless observer units. Got to keep those command centers alive, though. If they do get killed, they'll get kicked out of the game. So this drone is already heading itself up to probably the top left. I'm thinking third hatchery. Get those hatcheries fast. Why not? This is a non-ASL match, and I know that Zero loves to have that sick macro. So even if he decides not to put a hatchery down, I'm kind of expecting he may just chill at that drone at that location. It's really risky not to go for a spawning pool, though. And getting that third hatchery instead of inside your main base out across the map is even doubly risky, especially against good players like Mind and Flash, who we're going to see today. Really good scouters. Okay, well, we're going to see that the Overlord is going to be camping at the natural base. Very cool here. So Zero knows exactly what his opponent's up to right now. Just going to be keeping it pretty mellow at the start of this game here as the barracks does come up. I know that a lot of you were pretty disappointed that Zero didn't make it any further. He had kind of the group of death in terms of his matchups, where he had to play against Mind last, and who was C? C is the other Terran player that was in that group. So that's just a crazy group. And what if finals we have? We're gonna have Sharp and Shuttle in the finals, and that's gonna be really cool. If you guys don't know, it's just in like a little over 24 hours from now, so that is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really cool to see that Blind Roar is acknowledging that this is actually a rep straight from one of the ones on his stream. I wouldn't doubt that. I'm glad that we're able to get access to those, because watching from the first person view only doesn't always tell the whole story. And you're kind of wondering, how did my opponent get that? I really wish I saw the replay so I could understand both sides of the coin. Okay, so sitting in here, it's already 2 racks. We've got the command center at the natural base. So this is going to be a nice little economic build coming out for Mind, who off these 2 racks is going to get enough production to do some early pressure. Probably. He likes to get up to 6, 7 Marines, 2 medics, and do that nice little push up across here, and see how many Zerglings he can force or sunken colonies. Because the more you can force those, the harder it is to drone early on in the ZVT matchup. We got the initial Lings coming across, and they're going to be chasing down this SCV. Of course, not letting Mind get in. Both, I think Zero and Mind might be one of the greatest ZVT rivalries since the post-Kespa era. So if you guys haven't really seen a lot of the matches between these 2 players, it's quite exciting. I think they just match up really well. Mind's got a pretty good aggressive style play. He's a strong mech player. You know, he's not like Piano, who goes bio every time. He really does try to mix it up well. And here comes the trick shot here. A ton of Zerglings coming in. Has this been anticipated? All these SCVs are actually coming to the ramp, going to be blocking up and making a nice wall for the Marines. And it's actually almost too difficult for these Lings to be able to attack in and kill off these Marines. So a nice reaction here from Mind, who's going immediately for a bunker. And he knows that getting this bunker down will help secure him the natural base. He was just kind of being lazy about putting it up here. And think about the minerals that were cost by building this bunker later instead of now. And what a forced issue. All these Lings are being lost. And so while he can't salvage this bunker, he's got a lot of Marines that are still alive. The first medic already popped out. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, you see all these medics. The medic party is coming out real fast now. And it's going to be almost a 1-to-1 ratio. I wouldn't be surprised if Mind pushed out with just a small group of units. He is following it up by getting up to 4 racks. Possibly a 5th rack is going to follow up pretty quickly here. Off 5 racks, you can get a ton of bioproduction. We're seeing that stim is almost complete. Meanwhile, let's take a look inside of Zero's base. We're seeing that he's already gotten up to this lair tech. Spire is almost complete. He did get that macro hatch inside of his base. He's going to be camping on 2 bases and only built 1 Creek colony so far. So right now, even though he did lose a ton of those Lings, and he basically traded Lings instead of building additional Creek colonies, I think he's doing still really well as far as the drone count goes. Sitting at 50 supply for Mind and 46-4-0. This is a pretty small force. It's not going to be a lot to push out here. And now that the Spire is done, it's going to be immediate Mutalisk to come out here for our Zerg player. Yeah, Zero going to be rocking out with those 6 Mutalisks. Let's take a look inside this base right away. We want to try and identify the weak spots. So we can see that there's a couple turrets here. I see a lot of Terrans that don't like to build the turret right here because it could almost be microed too easily. So they'll risk maybe a few SCVs getting hit as they mine on the backside to build 3 solid turrets inside of that natural mineral line here. Okay, the mutos are getting stacked up. He's rallying up with an overlord across the map. He could also be using a larva. I mean, there's an infinite number of possibilities here. A lot of Marines coming out. And let's look at the defense here. This straight line is something that Zerg players might try and go for to get into the back of this mineral line and attack SCVs. We're seeing it here. The 2 initial turrets are going to be good enough. A quick pick off on the SCV, but juking away too. Look at this. There's bio forces that are just heading up the map. And so Mind's going to try and force the Mutalisk back. So it's a game of cat and mouse where the Mutalisks want to do harassment, but they're also supposed to do a good job of slowing down this attack and aggression that Mind could be pulling out. So Mind's timing out his units just perfectly here. But if Zero plays really well, it's not too critical of a force where the Mutas can micro and pick apart these Marines. The medics have to be in a really good spot and heal right away if Mind wants to keep all his forces alive. The Lings are going to be coming in here, though. The initial attack is great. Another round of Lings coming in from the right side, too. But a little bit of indecision because it looked like all these Marines were just kind of split up in this horizontal or vertical line here. Almost just too awkward for the Lings to get a surround on, and it's going to return to Mutamicro here as he tries to push these Bioforces back again. He really wants to auto-target of these Marines to go on the Lings first as his Mutalisks just kind of clean up this Bio party here, and eventually everything does get cleaned up. You know what that means? Only one sunken colony still being built. This is actually pretty impeccable. Very little defense has had to occur here. And so that's really good. So we're looking up here at the top left. There's going to be a hatchery at third base on its way. A nice amount of Lings and Mutas still alive so far. Guys, I am from Florida. I live in the United States. Yeah, I just survived a hurricane. It was a Category 1, but for some reason we had a hurricane day on Friday, so I couldn't even go into work, which is why I've been working 12+ hour days every day this week. And it was sunny. The hurricane hit Florida, and it was sunny in Jacksonville. It was the silliest thing ever. People in Florida are not afraid of hurricanes. They're kind of silly. Okay, so the Lynx bouncing back and forth here. A good amount of glaive damage hitting at the front, but the Bioforces are really strong at this point. Still not a 5th barracks. I would have anticipated a 5th, but instead he went for the faster starport, which is going to be really nice. He can mix in dropships first are really great because you're pumping out vultures, and when you go for a vulture dropship combo, you can pick off a lot of drones. Dropships are really needed at this point too, because there's no other way for the Terran player to apply pressure. Mine can of course expand down here. He can get a 3rd base if he wants. Maybe he can even go straight for this gas if he'd be so bold. But right now there's nothing preventing these drones from just having a field day, getting all the economy that they want. And I think even over at the left side, it's coming down to these vultures, which are going to get blocked off by a Hydralisk at the top of the ramp. The vulture is just going to be doing a circle back. And is he going to get out of here? No way. Oh, dropping a single mine, that may be troublesome when a hatchery wants to be built later on the map. Okay, so more vultures are coming out. We got to keep an eye on this. So speed vultures are absolutely brutal as far as observing is concerned. And this is why I like just sitting, being able to sip on my coffee and do absolutely nothing at 6 in the morning when I'm doing my ASL cast. Of course, our cast tomorrow is going to be at 1:30 in the morning East Coast time. Make sure you don't miss it. Please, please don't miss the ASL finals, whether you watch me or Tasteless and Artosis. It needs to be watched. Oh, look at these eggs. As they spawn, a vulture still manages to make it through. God, this is just a mess here. The lurkers are going to be burrowing down here, but not within a perfect range. No, Spider-Man does get some damage off. Another small amount of Marines are going to be coming out here also to reinforce. God, so much going on. The science vessel out here. Still no 3rd base. We're seeing only 1 factory here. And the pressure's got to continue to be really, really good for Mind at this point in the game. Because 3 hatcheries is actually pretty strong for Zero. He's not behind a tech at all. In fact, look at this. He's got Hive. He's got the Defiler Mound. He's got Lurker Tech already. So I think everything is going as well as it could be for Zero. There's no reason why he should be feeling bad about this point of the game. Mind, on the other hand, I guess he's just... he's not really taking advantage of the fact that T is greater than Z in this matchup here. Picking off 2 lurkers. This is a nice camping position here, and it's a little bit hard for Zero to push down. Here's the golden ticket, though. Mutas are still alive on this map. I love seeing that. We're seeing 6 mutas, so they can go around and safely clean up these spider mines here. And so that's absolutely great. I was wondering how he was seeing that vision, but there's a sneaky overlord right here. And if you look at this, well, that's a Ling trying to get a scout out. Another Ling here. But the vision is really good. So Zero's just kind of got units all over the map. Oh, he's trying to defend out here, up here with the Dark Swarm, keeping these units at bay. The medics are just definitely going to work here. Out of energy. They're out. So these Marines, what is this suicide? Oh, brave little Marine. You're like the brave little toaster version of Bio. And, okay, look at that. A Wraith came out. An interesting choice. Still so far, we're seeing that the science vessel did come up here, but there's nothing else in here. We didn't see any damage occur. A decent amount of drones still, so we haven't missed anything quite yet. Still the Bioforces at the top left, not getting much done, but a double expansion coming from Mine. He's got the command center down at this mineral only. Meanwhile, the gas is coming up. This is crucial. This is crucial for the tech switch. Mines has to get this space so he can get this additional gas. Sitting on 2 gases this long, and you know, let's go ahead and look at the refinery count, 2,200. That's not going to last him long, let's be honest here. The armory upgrades coming along. This is not a good use of space management right now, and I expect that after a few more rounds of Bioforces, these barracks are going to get lifted off and just sent out of the base. They're no longer needed. It's not necessary. Look at the lurkers here coming into the Dark Swarm. This is great. It's cutting off the reinforcement paths across the map here. So there's no more units that are going to be coming out to be aggressive as long as these lurkers and defilers can just camp out outside this bridge. It's going to be really hard for Mine. He's got to pay attention to it. Even though it's not a lot of forces, it's still worthy of attention. The Irradiate taking down that defiler, really well played. We've seen Mind where he loses a lot of science vessels to Scourge, so this is where we want to keep an eye out. Absolutely, the Scourge are on the hunt right now. This is like true witch hunting here as he tries to figure out where those spellcasters are. They are basically mechanical overlords if you want to think about it in terms of this matchup here. Okay, here's one of the crucial science vessels that can be taken out. He's got to watch out for it. And we'll just keep an eye for this, for the Zerg color and see where it goes. More consumption going down. The Defiler just loves the energy. Look at it get up to 200 energy. It's going to be pushing out real fast here. Eating all those links. Just complete chaos when it comes to Defilers. They do not care for the Brood at all until they cast that Dark Swarm blanket. And then they feel all warm and cozy again. Alright, here comes the engagement. The Muta's gonna be camping right outside these Marines. But the Lings, oh look at that Plague. Oh sickness. When you have the 200 level Defiler, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get Dark Swarms, you're gonna get Plagues, and everything is gonna go down really easily. I don't like that. We're down to 2 Mutalisks though. That's not great. Oh, let's keep an eye out here. Has anything else come out? No, that's just a floating barracks. Spider Mine sitting out on the up the top left. We're going to see the command center here at the bottom left. So Mind is having no trouble expanding. While all these skirmishes are occurring here, he's having a good time. And Zero, he's really got to get aggressive. So, yeah, okay. Decent amount of links, filling up one overlord. We're going to see 2 lurkers coming down, and this is going to be an easy base to take out pretty quickly here. The lurker's going to land. Probably they should just try and camp over at the ramp. That's a command center over there that is neutral, so don't worry about that. Here it comes, eliminating the SCV. Units are going to come to reinforce. Like I said, the lurkers should have been here sitting on top of the ramp. They would have easily been able to kill these units off. But even with a stim, it's not going to happen. And so this is just a good win for Zero. Meanwhile, this base is really well under control. You can see that the turrets are getting themselves in a good spot here in case a Mutaswitch later does come. You know, thinking about how Flash would do it too. Just tons of turrets. Make sure you're safe from air. Of course, the last time we saw Zero versus Flash on Overwatch, that was a chaotic game where there was no anti-air, yet Zero refused to go for Mutalisks in the late game. Not his style. He loves the Defiler units, and that's the way it goes. Okay, so we're going to see a huge number of Vulture Bikes coming up towards the top left, and a single sunken colony. Regardless of it being one sunken, it has an incredible amount of health compared to all these Vultures that do barely any damage here to buildings. And of course, they're going to get eliminated very quickly. This is dangerous territory. I love that the Dark Swarm initially goes on here, because who cares if you lose units? It's better that you defend your drones. A lesser player would have thought, put my Dark Swarm right here and confront. But then the Vultures get down here and they get a couple more drone kills than you were wanting to occur. The Vultures are going to have to pull back, looking inside this. Still just a barracks camping here. Mines across the map, and a huge amount of tanks. I do like to see a Plague on the science vessel here. Zero's having a pretty good game, but Mind is still having an incredibly strong game himself. Okay, we're seeing that the command center is being built at the natural instead of the main base. If you looked here, there were the lurkers and the lings that were cleared up. You know, a couple of overlords camping here, and I wonder, you know, if the turrets weren't built, he would have been able to take these overlords, fill them up, and continue his crusade over towards this third gas mining base here. And instead, that's not going to occur. Well, really good little moves here by Mind to play a turtle-style Terran player. And we want to find those tanks. So this is crucial. And he added in Goliath because there is the offset chance that a random Mutalisk, which Now we can see that there's no more Mutalisks available to Zero's army, but this is a good amount of tanks. Again, we're up to 15 siege tanks. My word. Okay, so +2 attack, and we're seeing that attack armor is on its way. Look how many factories we see here, and really not much has come from the dropship play. I would have liked to see that a little bit more from Mind. Oh, maybe he's going to honor my wishes, filling it up with at least 3 vultures so far. And oh, look at this. The Lynx trying to go out on the map and go for the cheap kills. This is what they do. This is what Zero is so good at. Taking these Lynx and just going for great, you know, backstab attacks here. Getting off one tank with just that little group. A little bit damage here. And it's taking away from Mind's pursuit up towards the top right of the map where he wanted to go for the siege tanks. And be able to build off a wall at this bridge. Maybe slowly work his way forward. You can see still, there was only one sunken colony to defend. We're seeing that cows are out on the map. And oh my god, the elimination here. So many Lynx coming over. All the mech forces are away. Meanwhile, the Lynx are coming down here too. Vultures are going to be able to clean this up. This isn't a danger here at this map, but let's go back here. This had to get lifted. The lurkers, and this is brilliant. Still, that one lurker's up here. He didn't even have to add that into his army count. Meanwhile, what is Mind to do now? He knows that he has to go over here and sit back and reclaim his throne at the left side of the map. It's important that he map splits completely and takes this left side because he's out of minerals at his main base. He's out of minerals at his natural base. So he's really sitting on one base economy. So this is not great. Yes, you guys are watching Mind right now. This is Mind versus Zero. And look at more Lynx are kind of coming down here. They're streaming. And this is just such a budget play from Zero, who has so many minerals. Look at that. Camping at 2k minerals. And he's just going to continue to flood the map wherever he finds the weakness of Mind. Is Mind going to be able to hold up here? He does have the power of mech behind him. Oh, that one Marine sitting inside the bunker. I mean, I'm sure he was getting bored of playing Pokemon Go inside of his bunker anyway. That's the future, right? I imagine the future Terran will have, like, Pokemon Go version black and white. Okay, so Lynx still coming down here towards the third gas base. I say that because I keep forgetting that there was a third here, but I hardly count it because it was a mineral only. We're seeing Lynx come down here to clear out a bunch of SCVs, and the noms are real. Oh, look at this. With the Dark Swarm, that command center has been forced up to the top. Okay, so the area has been cleared up. I like this move because defending down the ramp is going to be tough, and he will be able to expand down the ramp later when he so needs to. Oh, Mind's just going to call it. GG. What a great game by Zero. I mean, that was really textbook. What can you say? Mind did nothing to punish Zero in that entire game. So, you know, it's always a surprise when it's a GG because when you're casting from the replay, you just assume it's going to go till every building dies. But of course, that's not the case. So I'm going to take a quick water break and we're going to go to our featured event. It's going to be Zero versus Flash in the next replay. Thank you guys for joining in. I see that the viewership is going up. I love that you're here. And I'm going to play some cool music as I just take a quick water break and load up the next replay. Thank you. Alright, that was some like weird mellow music going on there. I don't know where that track came from, but apparently it made it into my sweet mix. Clearly that's the song I use to seduce my wife on a daily basis. Alright, I welcome you guys back. I am BisuDagger. You know what? I haven't tried to do a lot of funny today. I've been doing a little silly in this cast, but it's been a really long work day, so I thank you guys again for joining in on this cast, and we're just going to keep it real and move on to the next replay. And you know what? I love watching Flash versus Zero anytime. The game on Overwatch was absolutely epic, so hopefully that's what we're going to see here. I'm going to set Zero versus mine to done on Team Liquid. Cool, cool, cool. And now we're going to go right into our next matchup. Let me go ahead and bring the game up, because obviously I forgot to do that before the last game here. So here we go. Look at that. Boxer versus Nazgul, Flash reps, KCM, man versus machine. Well, let's keep going down here into our Zero bucket, ZVT, and it's going to be Zero versus Flash. All right, look at this. Going to be a Neo Aztec. That's some throwback. 3-player map. Unless another player randomly lifts their building up here. Let me go ahead and also fix the overlay, because people are going to see mine, and clearly that's Flash on the screen. Okay. So now it is real. Now, I have a question for you guys in the chat, and I hope that you can answer this. And don't think of this as like anything rude. It really is an honest question. And so if you're filling out paperwork in America for anything, like let's say you're applying for a job or you are applying to university, you have to check what ethnicity you are in a box. You can opt not to say, but they like you to, I guess, to check a box. So for me, I would put Caucasian. And some people can say Pacific Islander, but some people can say, let's say, African American. And is there, for you guys in other countries, like let's say Britain, would it be African Britain if you're of African descent, but you live in Britain? Is there anything like that? Can I be American Indian if I live in India, but I'm of American descent? You guys let me know here, and I'm going to jump back in and get the reins on this cast while you guys help me learn about the foreign parts of this world. Okay, so we're looking at the top of the map here, and this is going to be Zero sitting with his hatchery, and that's his main base at the 12 o'clock location. Already sending an Overlord to the left. So both times now we've seen against mine that he scouted in the correct direction right away on a 4-player map, and with the hacks he scouts a correct direction again, going counterclockwise to find out where Flash is. So Flash already has his barracks coming up. You know, it's not necessary to build the supply depot hugging up against the command center here, because you don't need to force the SCV. It will build itself to the left here, so not a problem when it pops out of the command center. And the barracks is on the low ground, and look at this. This is the fun about this map. If you're not familiar with Neo Aztec, besides its you know, wonderful jungle tile set, but how do you get out of your base? That's the question here. So if you're in the top location, you've got to go to your right to get out of the base. And this is where the natural is going to be. So advantage Zerg, I'd say, because you're already taking your natural. It's part of your common play, and you never have to defend against a ramp anyway. Meanwhile, for Terran players, you don't have that high ground advantage. And so if you're trying to defend against Lings or push out or get your natural base, depending on how the build orders go for your Zerg opponent, then it is increasingly more difficult to take your natural base, because you don't have that nice, easy to win ramp in the early parts of the game. But that's you know, that's not a big deal when you're at this level. You really can't complain too much. These players are so skilled that they can generally overcome a simple ramp disadvantage, but sometimes it plays big. We've seen even the great Bisu lose games where he just doesn't properly cover the ramp that well. And some players really just don't like maps with that descended set where your main base is lower than your natural. Whoever thought of that is one cruel person, right? All right. Well, there was one reply to my question in the Twitch chat, but I'm not going to say it. Oh, great. I love you guys. And look at this. The gas deal going with the refinery inside of the main base. So not going to be able to get that gas right away. This is going to slow down any speed timing. So Zero, not wanting to slow that timing down, goes ahead and gets the extractor inside of the natural base. Not going to be a big deal. I'm really impressed, but you know what? Mine's probably going to get it 3/4 of the way done if he can. And that's just going to help him delay that gas at the main. Of course, the lings are going to pop out. I really just think he doesn't care. So he's kind of just building with the SCV that eventually he'll cancel. So it's not that big of a deal. The natural base is coming up, clearly identified by the Overlord that's going to be seeing everything at the natural. A single Marine coming out will be able to push that Overlord away. Something that we've seen that's tricky is when you have an Overlord that's at a like hard to get to position here, and you lift your barracks up and you float it over, and it allows you to pick off the Overlord that otherwise couldn't be seen because of the high ground vision. But that's obviously not going to be the case. I don't think that this barracks is in a really good spot to be able to make that happen. Oh, the hatchery coming up, the macro hatchery inside the natural base. We're going to see 3 drones mining on that gas. And we saw 2 base Muta, let me be clear. We saw 2 base Muta play the layer coming down inside the main base here. And I wonder if we're going to see 2 base again. You know, the Muta flying distance is really short. This reminds me of Python, where the distance, bam, you're already over there. You've got a nice little ridge to do your Muta attacks over here. And then you have all this blank space. This looks like nothing to you, but you have all that blank space that has to be covered. So turrets, instead of being out across the map defending the border, especially since this isn't a PvT, they're going to be built really close to the mineral line and any of the key buildings that need to be stayed alive. And so just more droning coming out from Zero, where he went really aggressive in the last game and got almost a full control group of lings. Well, actually, he did get a full control group of lings by the time he did do an aggressive early attack at the natural base of mine. But we're going to see here that this is just way too small of a group. I wonder if the intimidation of Flash is real in this matchup. The supply depot out at the front. And also what mine didn't do was build a bunker here at the front to help him defend and keep his SCVs mining at this natural base. He had to delay and get that bunker really late. And that actually made a huge difference. It delayed pressure and allowed Zero to immediately get a third and not have to worry about just pushing out lurkers as fast as possible. So this is a typical Flash play here. We're seeing that the starport is coming up really fast. There's only 1 barracks, and the Terran army is coming up too. So it could be a Valkyrie defense against these Mutalisks that will be coming out very shortly. Let's go ahead and see if we can hunt down where the spire is coming down. This feels like a later spire. You know what? I'm not on fastest. This is probably the worst thing that I've ever done to you guys. With the MCA launcher, it usually auto goes to the fastest speed. So that's probably why we weren't why I wasn't paying attention there. Unfortunately, yeah, I wasted about a minute of your time. It wasn't too bad here, and we got to see Flash in slow motion, right? Okay, so now that this is done, the Valkyrie is going to be coming up. We're going to see that a couple more barracks are going to be coming down afterward. I think that it's just necessary to get a few Marines mixed in here, but absolutely important that this Valkyrie comes out too, because once the larva is freed up and the mutas do come out, this is going to be a pretty heavy attack that has to get defended with no turrets anywhere inside this base. You're going to have to excuse me as I close my door real quick. Alright, I have a 16-year-old dog that decides to start messing with me randomly during my casts. And instead of, you know, putting him down with a just gentle pillow to the face, I closed the door instead of taking the anger out on him that he just instills. He, because he's 16, has started to wake me up 3 or 4 times a night. And I'm like, come on, dude. If I wanted to wake up many times in the night, I would have a kid to do that. I don't need a dog. Dogs are supposed to be comforting and relaxing. Okay, so a third base is going to be located down at the bottom right. It's going to allow Zero to get another gas, and allow him to continue in this game. If you're wondering what this weird color is, it's just the Observer Command Center, so don't worry about that. So a lot of mutas are finally in this mix. I like it. It's more than 6. In fact, we're up to 9. And, oh! There's only 2 medics here, and they might not find the best location to actually heal up these Marines, but this is the danger. The danger Valkyries are chasing these mutas away, and Zero's just saying, I'm not having any of that. I want these mutas to be alive. But oh god, the Lynx snuck in. Look at this backstab here. The Lynx coming in, picking off a few Marines. This is brilliant by Zero, and he's able to micro really well against the Marines and pick them off. Is he going to get an SCV too? Oh, you dirty dog, Zero, you dirty dog. And he does not kill another SCV, but still, that was a great attack here. Oh, the Scourge are out. The Scourge going on the hunt here. The mutas are just flopping everywhere. As we know, that Flash is identified. There's a 3rd base down at the bottom right, and he wants to get his triage of Valkyries along with this Bioforce down to the bottom to be able to attack. Sunken colonies are coming up. Are they going to be there in time? One's just still a creep colony. Meanwhile, the tongue morphing from the other. This is going to be a difficult position. A lot of Scourge are going to be coming in, picking off a Valkyrie right away. Oh, it's getting so low. Still 2 Valkyries alive. So much muted damage has been taken. More Scourge coming in. Zero's patience should have been waited a little bit longer here. Meanwhile, the Valkyries, they can't run away in time, can they? The Marines at the bottom are going to get picked off pretty easily here. Does Scourge go for the chase? They're so slow. They look like flying boxes of cardboard here, and he can't even micro against them. So this is just a real sad situation here. Meanwhile, 2 more Scourge going to be going on for another hunt here, knowing that there's another Valkyrie alive. Oh, is it going to stop inside the space? Looking like it's going to cut the corner here. He's got to get to the Marines, and look at that. Finally does manage to keep it alive. What a chase here. Again, these are no Corsairs. They can't just turn on a dime, and unfortunately, a couple were lost by Flash. He's got a decent Bioforce here, coming down again, but look at this, the lack of medics, only 1 coming in, and she is just falling behind. You know, women matter too. Get her up within the mix. Still, look, lurkers are done. Lurkers will burrow. Even though this is below, and he's going to have to guard down the ramp, he's still got plenty of space that the Terran forces have to come up across to get to these lurkers with their nice long range and spikes they're going to be coming up here. Okay, so the Bioforces are going to be coming down. Oh, Flash, be so bold. No, he's going to lose 2 Marines, but he's going to turn around right away. He's not going to want to engage on here. So the defense is going to be good enough here. No Overlord. I always like to see an Overlord with every base, but that's just me being a little bit persnickety here. Oh, the missiles. It looked like the missiles almost took out the Valkyrie themselves, but no, it looked like the Scourge just did their head-on damage so brilliantly. And look at this. Flash is already going to be switching over to Vultures. He's saying, I've had enough of this. This isn't going to work. 3 barracks. That's not the life for me. Let's look inside this base. We've got 1 factory coming up. Meanwhile, there was that initial factory up here. It's starting to get its upgrades in. Vulture speed done. Spider Mine's on the way. And pretty flush bases. Almost too many SUVs. And Flash is absolutely going to need this 3rd command center if he wants to stay in this game. What this command center doesn't have. Where is it? Where is it, guys? There's no gas here. So this is actually going to be pretty tough for Flash that he's expanding to a mineral-only base. Yeah, I guess he can get a lot of Vultures out. But Vultures don't win you a ZVT. That's definitely not the way to go. Unless somehow you have epic harassment. Oh, excuse me for that second there. Okay, Hydra's coming down. Those slow Hydras, but they're going to be able to pick off the mines. And you can see if I click on here, only 3 mutas alive. You know, there were only a few mutas alive last game. But what they did really well was clear out these mines. You can see that they're actually on a mission here to try and look for them. Meanwhile, just oh, gotta keep those Hydras alive. So that's a brilliant move. If you guys don't know, if you're about to lose a Hydra, just make it an egg and then unegg it. It's the one unit that you can do that effectively. Don't accidentally make a larva unit and then unegg the larva, because you don't get the larva back. It just explodes and it looks like a sad little tapeworm. And, well, all the tapeworms are sad, but we won't go into that scientific discussion. I'm sure there's some biology majors out there that get offended. Okay, the Marines are pushing back up, trying to get maybe that slight high ground advantage. You know, it's not a lot. It's not a lot here. But the Lurkers are doing a great job of applying pressure, pushing this Terran force back. And you know what? There's only 1 tank here, and not in range of these units. As long as Zero can fight outside the range of this tank, I think he's in a pretty good position. But oh my god, this is like a massive Hydra rush almost, because of how many are getting mixed in here. You know, a couple Spider Mines could really clean up all these Hydras at once, though. And the tank siege damage, the Splash does it so well here. What? What? The 3 Mutos are finally coming in, but no, they're not going to do damage either. A little bit late to the party. He didn't bring all members of this attacking force. Looks like a drone's getting ready to take an additional base. Meanwhile, the pressure's going to continue. The Lurker's going to get within range of the tank. The tank, can you survive? Again, this is an immortal tank. 5 kills for him. Valkyrie's continuing to be produced because Flash is just a Valkyrie fiend here, and he's going to continue to push them out. All right. So let's take a look inside this Zero base. And we've got, obviously, the Hive here. Some carapace upgrades going on. That's it. Oh, where? That's it? I'm trying to find where the Defiler Den is. I feel like it's got to be there, and I just suck at observing. So we're just going to assume that the Defiler Mound, if not there, will be made very, very shortly. I do like, though, that the hatchery here is finally being built. But look at all these annoying vultures laying down the spider mines, knowing that they have a nice position here to camp. And can they run in here? Yeah, look at that. A nice gap behind the mineral line. It's actually one of the complaints about the Overwatch map is this, you know, the misplacement of the mineral line. Very similar here. But if you do it wrong, it can cause mining glitches where workers prefer to mine from the back instead of the front. Obviously, clear disadvantage there. C actually may have lost his game versus Mind due to his frustration with those mineral lines. It could have clearly been that. Oh god, look at that Hydra. The Hydra Lurker Ginyu force is just, you know, going back, marauding around the map here. Meanwhile, that Hydra, in honor of all the Zerg players that lose tons of Hydras to spider mines, sacrificed itself for the greater good. The Lurker's moving in! And the Ginyu force is going to be strong again. It's only taken one episode, not 7, for them to get max strength as they continue to apply pressure outside of this natural base. Oh, Flash, dear God, you do have your tanks, and somehow your tanks are always so beautiful. That one tank, though, with all the kills, it was cleaned up already. The tank in the back does die. Wait, no. Nope, that 5-kill tank's still alive here. So, I disagree with Zero going for an attack, a pincer. He pincered himself by attacking between those Boltos tanks here. And what is he doing? Holy Hydra. He's going to have to pull them back again as the Hydras almost die instantly from all these tanks. The forces moving across, only the +1 upgrade. I mean, we saw 2-3 upgrades by Mind, but he had nothing to show for those 2-3 upgrades. And so that was a terrible travesty for him. He got his upgrades before he got his army. You got to have a mix of both. You got to play it very, very tentatively. Meanwhile, not a lot of mining here. I'm very surprised. You know, getting this extra gas. Four gases is the key amount. In either matchup, let's be honest. 4 gases is really what you need to be proficient against an army here. And this is looking ridiculous. A huge mech force. And despite all those Valkyries dying earlier, the Scourge doing a brilliant job of cleaning up that Air Force. Zero's done a poor job of getting really ahead on mines. And he hasn't done well with his Defiler play so far, which we just clearly haven't seen. So the Nidus Canal is alive, but it's going to be late. And I think that Zero might be 1-for-1 on the day with these replays. The Vulture's pushing through. I would assume that Zero would want to just send me only replays where he wins, because he knows that he wants to set like the best impression against foreigners possible. But it may just be that he was just like, here's 2, BisuDagger, take this and go. I'm tired of you. No, I hope we don't have a relationship like that. Okay, so the tank's going to be just dominating on the high ground here. Where's the backstab? Nothing. If he loses this space, it's an instant GG here. Of course, the Nidus Canal going to be coming in real late. Maybe there's a Defiler that's sitting at another Nidus Canal across the map, but he's got to... Is this the initial one, too? You got to wonder if that's the first Nidus, and then he's got to connect it across the map, because then that's even more troublesome. It's going to take him longer to get that additional help. Oh, no hatchery here, so no real use in having this base. 62 supply to 163. Almost went dyslexic there for a second. Meanwhile, the Hydra's getting on the high ground, trying to do the equalizer attack, killing off all these SCVs, and the SCVs actually aren't going to do a great job of trading against Hydralists, but the tanks on the low ground, A mode, still going to be able to clear them up. I'm very impressed with how long this Hydra force has stayed alive. I mean, just trying to get Hydras up a ramp without any units attacking me, I still lose half my Hydra force. I could have no opponent, and every time I try to move units up a ramp, they die. 'Tis the bane of being a non-A class player, isn't it? Can I just wake up and be skilled? My greatest fear is that when I finally introduce my kid to StarCraft, he's going to be like instant, or she will be instantly better than me at the game. And I'll be like, well, you know, I could tell you a lot about Bisu, but I guess there's no points in knowing a lot about professional players. Ah, GG! GG. All right, and that's gonna take it for the day. Let me play the GG button. GG! Oh, yeah, we're keeping it real. So, guys, this is one of my shortest days. I really apologize. I promise you next Thursday it will be longer. It will be sillier. It'll be crazier. But, again, this is one of my most important work career weeks. So, being able to fit this in is really cool. Everybody cross your fingers. I am meeting with XSplit Media tomorrow morning with Kim Chul-min and Lamada, where we will try and finalize the paperwork to get the KCM back for October. And that is just going to be super exciting. Like I said, the lineup for the KCM matchups, it's going to be Flash, Bisu, Best, Zero, Mind, Last, Hero, and then a couple of legendary players too. Not just the top, but we want to bring in July and Nada, and maybe we could get Yellow for a guest appearance. We're on pretty good terms with KCM, I feel like, right now. Or not KCM, Kongdu. So I feel like that it definitely has some potential too. Okay, so that's going to be it. I'm going to give you guys the outro song in just a second. If you guys have any questions for me, please ask before I mute myself. I'll give you guys a second there, but yeah, I will be casting in just 24 hours from now. There's going to be the ASL finals. It's going to be at 1:30 Eastern time in the morning. It's coming up real fast, so just a day from now. And both players are getting ready. Sharp already went out to the stands to just prepare himself mentally and just take in the atmosphere. What a baller. So that's really cool that he's just taking this so seriously. If you want to bet liquid bet points, I would put all your points on Sharp. But of course, my TL prediction is going to be going for Shuttle, because I'm crazy like that. Okay, thank you guys once again, and I will see you next week on another episode of the Weekly Dagger. Goodbye.